What's going on, guys? So today we are going to be talking about Skinamarink. Skinamarink was directed by Kyle Edward Ball, premiered at festivals in 2022, and came to streaming on Shudder in February of 2023. The movie was made for around $15,000 and has since grossed over $2 million at the box office. Skinamarink is a difficult movie to talk about. It's really unlike anything I've ever seen before, and it's very much in its own lane, doing its own thing. And so, as a result of this, saying that it's either good or bad just kind of feels reductive. The best way to describe it or critique it would just be to say whether or not it worked for you versus just saying it's bad. I think there's a lot more going on than that, but we'll get into it. The director, Kyle Edward Ball, made a lot of short films on YouTube, and they were all based on user-submitted nightmares that he recreated on film. And you can definitely see the correlation there between some of his short films to Skinamarink. The word nightmare pops up a lot. It's important to say out of the gate that this is not a movie designed to entertain you. It is very much an experience that you go on rather than a fun way to kill 100 minutes. It pretty much takes all of the established tropes and basic structures and foundations of traditional movie making and just throws them all out the window. A lot of common complaints about this movie people will make. It's too long, it's boring, nothing happens. All of these are not really valid in my eyes. All of that is intentional, and it's designed to be that way by the filmmaker. It's asking you to meet it halfway and to come on this journey with the film and just allow yourself to be, to go on this experience. This is not, a Conjuring or, whatever other horror movie that you would just kind of throw on for fun. This is something that expects a lot of you, and if you're willing to meet it halfway, then you can get something out of this. The word nightmare is something that pops up a lot, and Kyle Edward Ball has captured a nightmare on film, if you ask me. The way that dreams are sort of structured, where you can't quite make out shapes of people or their faces or voices, and it all just kind of blends together. Something's going on, time is strange. All of these things are masterfully woven into the narrative of Skinamarink. It's this idea of being very young, very scared, being alone, not knowing what's going on, where your parents are, and really not even knowing what you're scared of. You just know that you're scared. And that's more terrifying, in my opinion. It's sort of the Jaws mentality, where you know there's something to be afraid of, but you don't really see or know what that thing is. By this very nature of it, this is where you're going to lose some viewers. The movie wants you to meet it halfway. It's aware of the length, it's aware of the runtime, it's aware that for a large portion of it, not a lot is happening. Along with that comes the promise of something happening. And it's going to be up to you, the viewer, whether or not the downtime is worth the truly disturbing and really eerie and creepy moments that do come up. So your mileage will vary. Some people will say it wasn't worth it. Others will say, wow, that was really, really tense, really creepy. Just know what kind of horror fan you are going into this. The movie is comprised of long static shots filmed from unconventional angles, all in service of that sort of dream mentality, from very low or up high, just not the type of traditional, conventional film angles that you would see in a normal movie. Along with this is this sort of staticky white noise effect and heavy film grain, almost evoking this sense of nostalgia, something that you would watch maybe on a VHS tape. Even though I wouldn't quite put this in a found footage genre. Putting this movie in any kind of box is, again, reductive, but I would say it's probably adjacent to found footage if you needed me to assign a label to it. So just before you, kind of crap on this movie, if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. But just say that it doesn't work for you. Again, you should really be judging this on what it's trying to do and not what it's not trying to do. Movies like this are super important to me. As someone who craves originality and uniqueness in a slew of otherwise very mediocre and uninspired horror movies, movies like Skinamarink, even if I didn't necessarily love it, I'm so glad that it exists, because you just need movies like this to come along every now and then to start up a conversation, get a dialogue going, you know. Maybe not divide fans, but just have that discourse going where, you know, some horror fans like it and others don't, and it creates a discussion, you know. And I just think that's a great thing for the genre, you know. A lot of movies, horror movies come out and it's like, yeah, it sucked. And then we forget about it. You know, Skinamarink, I feel like people are going to be talking about this for a long time, analyzing, you know, what's going on and what this meant and what that meant. You know, movies like that are so infinitely more interesting to me than, you know, 90% of the studio fare that comes out nowadays. Movies like this with people like Kyle Edward Ball, somebody like Kane Pixels from The Backrooms, if you're familiar with that, was just, he's like 17, and he was contracted by A24 to make a feature-length adaptation of his online series, his YouTube series, The Backrooms, from A24 no less. And that guy's 17. He's going to film it over his summer vacation. You know, that is so friggin' cool. That is so inspiring. And like people like him and Kyle Edward Ball, and even dudes like David F. Sandberg, who's also started on YouTube. You know, there's this trend. It all kind of comes back to YouTube, you know. Guys with very little budget, you know, just an idea and the will to execute that idea, and they put it on YouTube and it gets recognized, and they make, you know, these shorts, and then they get contracted by major studios to make feature-length horror movies. Like, that is the future of horror, in my opinion. These people clearly have a passion for it, you know, otherwise they wouldn't be making these shorts to begin with. And these are voices that are going to carry the genre forward into the future. I find this personally very inspiring, because I am someone who would like to make a short film one day. You know, whether it be just this 10-minute thing that I throw together. Like, movies like Skinamarink make me feel like that's more possible than I ever have before. And so I can't assign a value or a letter grade to something like that, you know. Something like that is just, it's incredibly empowering, you know. So if you can appreciate things like that, Skinamarink will probably be looked upon more favorably by you. But if something like that doesn't matter to you really, then it doesn't matter. So Skinamarink is a movie that I'm definitely going to watch again at some point. I will buy the Blu-ray when it comes out so that I can continue supporting indie horror movies like this. And I hope you decide to give it a chance, and maybe if you don't like it, you'll still find things about it that you do appreciate. And at the end of the day, I think that's how we should approach all movies. You know, even if you come away from something saying, you know, that was a waste of 2 hours of my life, but I was able to appreciate X. Maybe that thing's not going to be there. Maybe you just watch, you know, a real piece of crap, but like, at the end of the day, we should all be looking for at least something out of the bad movies, you know, that we can appreciate, because movies are hard to make. You know, let's be honest. Movies are hard to make. So, you know, especially movies like this that were not made by a studio. It was made by a dude with, you know, a Sony Handycam thing and a couple friends, and they shot it over like 8 days for $15,000, you know. Maybe you didn't get what you wanted out of it, but we should all be able to acknowledge what the filmmakers accomplished here, and that's something to be championed in my eyes. Alright guys, so that's my review for Skinamarink. I really wanted to get this out sooner, but I really wanted to sit with it also and kind of really let it marinate so that I could give my full thoughts on it for you guys. So you've probably seen it by now, but if you haven't and you're watching this, hopefully I've given you an idea of sort of what to expect, and maybe if you did watch it because of this, then that's awesome. Let me know what you think about Skinamarink down in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and remember to take care and watch more movies.